I am fucking sad. I just recorded an entire video and then realized that I had my microphone muted. Oh, I'm so sad. I don't even remember 90% of what I said. I'm sad. Okay, let's see if I can start from the top because now that I've said it, like my brain has just like released it into the ether. Like I'm no longer thinking about it. Oh, this is terrible. Alright, I'm gonna have to just completely rework my system on how I do certain things because I can't have that happen again. Alright, so a lot of what I was talking about is so I just got back from a class and I learned a lot about like I'm going to say myself here. All right. So I've said previously many times throughout the years that I slept through high school. All right. Where the last 3 to 4 years of my schooling experience, I slept 70% of my time in my classes. I still passed with a B average just fine, like I had no issues whatsoever, but I didn't really pay attention in class. I never needed to, just because like I knew how to take tests. And I'm realizing with me going through this course today and for the next couple days, why I used to fall asleep in class. It's because like I find it really hard to pay attention, right? Um, and I've learned that this is like with my probably well, it is because of my ADHD, but like I was sitting there in class, like with the book, just trying to follow along, and I was having so much trouble following along. I was having so much trouble even just finding the words that they were talking about, right? Because like she'd go from one section to the next section, and be all like, okay, so this is important, this you're gonna need to know for the test, and like I would go and try to highlight it, and then also something else is like I had actually like trouble highlighting things in the book, just like my hand would not do the thing so I could highlight words, right? And it's not like the highlighter's fault, it's no one else's fault. It's just like for some reason, like I would put the highlighter down and then like I'd put like too much pressure on one side or the other and then I'd just like highlight under the word or I'd just highlight the top of the word and then my brain wouldn't let me sit there and be like, "Okay, that's good enough." No, instead I had to go back, sometimes having to do it 4 times to fully highlight the words that I was looking for, and then by the time that happens, now they kept going, and I've now missed the next 4 talking points and 4 things that I have to highlight, so then I have to go back and just kind of like rewind in my head what they said, because like I'd have to like sit there and like do like I'd have to try to highlight and listen at the same time because I was already behind, like for most of the time. Um, I'll be sitting there trying to highlight and then rewinding what they said. Okay, I think they need this. Okay, and then this, and then try to catch up. But then also on top of that, there was a lot of the times where like I would just look like we would like turn a page and then there'd be a fresh page, right? No highlight, no nothing, and I'd just look at the page and it just would look like gibberish. Like I just look at it and go, these aren't words, and then I'd sit there and try to scan through them, and the words just would not make sense to my brain. They just wouldn't make sense. So I'd be sitting there dealing with those two things, going, I'm looking for a sentence, but the words aren't wording. So then I'd have to look up and then go look at something else and then look back at the page and hope that this time whenever I started trying to read the words that they would word. And then not only that, but now there's so many words, and I'm sitting here going, okay. So while I was dealing with that, they're still moving along. So I'm sitting there going, okay. So I think she said about this, highlight this. I think she said about this, highlight this, and then I'd be skimming and going, okay, this and this. And there was a couple times that like I'm pretty sure she saw that like I just lost track of everything, and she'd stop and be like, okay, so at the top of this page or at the bottom of this page, and I'd be like, oh, right. And I'd go and try to find it. Um, and that's nothing unlike the instructor. She seems like a really nice lady, and it's not the material. There's just something with myself. But the more important, well, not more important, but something else that I wanted to tie into this because I also think about it is memories, right? So like I said about like I remember that I fell asleep in high school for like 70% of high school and I remembered it and I remembered why it happened. It was more than likely because I was tired, or at least that's what I thought it was, is that it was because I was tired and more than likely because I was up late playing video games or something. But also at the same time, I more almost all the times, and I think everyone's like this, is you remember more vibes than like vibes and kind of like the feelings that you had about them without actually fully remembering what it was. And I explained that poorly the last video, or the video that I just took. I explained it way better, but I lost the words that I used. But essentially what I'm saying is like you can't fully remember, like, both mentally and physically how you felt, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, right? So going through it again brings all of those back to the surface. And I think a lot of people forget or don't realize that they can't actually fully remember or replicate what they were going through so long ago. So, and a lot of the times, whenever they're trying to sympathize or empathize, they will think that they're fully remembering what someone else is going through without actually being able to, right? And that's something that, like, I know and I think about, but being put in this same position again so many years later, it just kind of like put the nail in the coffin for me, being all like, it's like, yes, I was like yesterday, I was not able to fully remember what it was like for me in school. Like there was a reason that I fell asleep. Something else that I also said in the last take, is that like I went into this like I was fully awake. I was energized. I was all like, all right, we're good to go. I'm ready. Maybe I could have drank some coffee, but I didn't have time. But like all in all, I felt good. Now I'm tired. I am so exhausted right now, and it's like now high school me, like I'm remember like back in high school was probably the same way because like this was like a 3.5 hour little session, 7 to 8 hours while in school. Of course I'm gonna need a nap because I need a nap now. um, but uh, going back to like the memories, right? Is like I'm not holding against anybody. Obviously, most people are trying to do good. They're trying to empathize, they're trying to sympathize, but at the same time, I see it and sometimes feel of it almost as demeaning, right? Because what I'm currently going through, what I'm feeling right now, is not the same as what you think you felt 15 years ago. It almost seems belittling sometimes, and I don't try to look at it that way, and I look at it for what it is, where people are trying to sympathize, right? I try to see the good in what they're doing, but at the same times, as it's happening, like a lot of the times I feel like they don't quite get it, and it's because it's been so long. They think that they get it, but they don't. And I'm not, and I'll never hold that against anybody. That's not the point of what I'm saying, is to like hold it against them and be like, oh well, you don't actually know anything. No, because they're still feeling emotions. They're still remembering what it was like, and they probably don't like those emotions, right? Like if it was something good or bad, well, if it was something bad, they probably don't like those emotions, or if it was good, they probably do, right? So like they're still experiencing something right now. It's just not, to me, I just don't think it is to the full extent that you are as you're experiencing it now, right? But in general, it's definitely really interesting to me to actually be able to fully relive all of these feelings, relive all of these things that I used to go through that I didn't understand back then, right? Because like back then, whenever I was in school, I thought that was everybody. Like I thought everyone was like me. I thought everyone was built like me, right? Not being able to read a page full of information and fully digest it in the first take, or sometimes looking at a page and it just not being words, or even reading through a paragraph and the words just not wording. I thought that that was normal, right? Nowadays, I see that that's part of what's the words? I was gonna say part of it's ADHD, but it's one of those like those are actual learning impairments, right? I didn't know that back then. So like of course I didn't like talk about it, I didn't say about it, I didn't, feel it. Because I thought that everyone was going through that. I thought that that was normal. And just back then I just assumed that I was more tired than everybody. Um, but yeah, so I just found that interesting, and it just kind of tied in a little bit to some of the thoughts that I have on, I'm gonna say, people remembering things, right? People trying to sympathize or empathize. Again, like if they're trying to sympathize or empathize, they're trying to do good, right? They're not trying to put you down. They're not trying to hurt you. Most people aren't, at least. Or actually, I think even the ones that do end up doing it, like not narcissistically, well, narcissistically, but they end up like trying to build themselves up through it. They're still, I think they're trying to do good. It's just their maladaptive coping mechanisms make everything about them, right? I don't see people as inherently evil or necessarily selfish. Some people definitely are selfish, but I think it's more that's just how they've learned to cope with life, right? That's just how they've learned to do things. It's not to spite you or to screw you over. It's just this is how they've learned to adapt to their circumstances. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of sad that I lost my first take because I think that that first take was way better, and I think that there is a couple of things that I've forgotten and left out from the first take to this take. But seeing how my first take didn't record audio, I'm fucked. And I'm probably going to stop recording here and then immediately remember some of the things that I said before. And it's going to make me sad. But, well, I guess other thoughts here is for the rest of the week, uh, I'm going to be helter skelter, most definitely. I'm still going to, like today, I'm still going to try to do videos. But seeing how I've got to go pick up my fiance in the morning and then go to class pretty much immediately after I get home and then come in and record some sort of a video. Um and like tomorrow, no, tomorrow's not Friday. Ooh, tomorrow's just Wednesday. Interesting. So actually no, that's just what I have to do. I'm probably gonna have to do some cooking and obviously house chores too. So it's just gonna be kind of rough the next couple of days. And then Friday I also have people coming over, so that's gonna be a little rough. Um, but yeah, it's just gonna be a little rough for the next couple of days. I'm just gonna be really busy. So I'm gonna say see ya, and whenever those things that I forgot to re-say pop up into my brain, I'm just going to be sad. Hell yeah.